Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. Virtua Fighter 5 REVO World Stage is now out, and this video can serve as a review for the game. So, World Stage is the latest version of Virtua Fighter 5. And if you're on PC, the current version of Virtua Fighter 5 REVO will just automatically update to World Stage for free, by the way. And if you're on console, PlayStation specifically, the already existing Ultimate Showdown will upgrade to World Stage. And we're going to talk about that. Just a fun little thing to note. So as far as the review goes, I'll just throw it out there right now. Hey, thumbs up, it's good, go get it. As a game, Virtua Fighter 5, there's not really much to say at this point. Virtua Fighter 5 has stood the test of time. It's almost 19 years old, and it's definitively one of the best fighting games ever made, full stop. As a fighting game, Virtua Fighter 5 is unimpeachable. Hey, editing rooflemonger here. Just to note, if you don't know much about Virtua Fighter, check the channel. I got all sorts of guides on the characters, the gameplay mechanics and systems, all that kind of stuff. You can find that either linked in the video description or at the end of this video. Just wanted to mention that. Now back to the review. And World Stage is its 8th revision. Yes, 8. There was the original launch version of the game. Then there was version B. Then there was version C. Then there was VF5R, which added 2 new characters. Then there was Final Showdown. And at which point then nothing for a good while. Then we take a very big time skip. Then there's Ultimate Showdown, also called Virtua Fighter Esports. Then there was Virtua Fighter 5 REVO at the beginning of this year, which was PC only, added rollback netcode, finally, did a massive rebalance of the game. It's the first major balance changes the game's had since Final Showdown. Upscaled to change graphics from Ultimate Showdown to 4K, and just lots of goodies. And now we have World Stage, where all those fun little goodies, graphic updates, balance patch, all that, rollback netcode comes to console now with even more good stuff. So World Stage is on console, specifically PlayStation and Xbox, will come to Switch 2 later, and PC, and everything is crossplay compatible. And with even more features that we'll go into later in the video. If you already own REVO on PC, World Stage is a free upgrade. Just update the game on Steam, it'll update the World Stage, you'll get the extra features, you're good to go, you're done. Otherwise, if you buy it brand new, you'll start at World Stage. On Xbox, well, it was never available before. Like last game would have been like Final Showdown on 360, right? So if it's on Xbox, you just start at World Stage. On PlayStation, if you already had Ultimate Showdown, you can upgrade to World Stage at a very significant discount. Keep in mind the price you're seeing here is the Canadian version. Or otherwise, if you don't have it, you can just buy it brand new. Additional note, if you had the DLC costume packages from Ultimate Showdown on PS4, those are free to re-download, so you don't have to rebuy those. Which is good, that's smart. That'd be bad if you had to rebuy them. But it's not automatic. You have to go and download them again. So that's some of the particulars, and we're going to get into a lot of the extra features here in World Stage specifically. Again, as for core Virtua Fighter 5, the game is almost 20 years old. It's been through a lot of revisions, including the REVO revision, which was earlier in the year, and that was a very big deal and like kind of changed up some of the characters in a very, very big way. But I'm not here to review Virtua Fighter 5 as a game just because, like, yo, it's been around perhaps longer than some of you watching have been alive. It's good. It stands for itself. Nothing more to be said. It's a true all-time fighting game classic. And if you're a Tekken 8 refugee looking for something a little bit different, VF will probably cures what ails you. But as far as the new stuff, well, let's start with some of the bigger aspects. One, there's an all-new playable character. Hey, that's Dural. So, Dural is the franchise's long-held boss character. Visually, you're probably going to be thinking, well, there's not much to look at, right? And absolutely, to be fair, Dural was absolutely a tech demo, effectively, in the earlier Virtua Fighter games. And cool metal lady doesn't play as well, right? Although she'll change her texture, I guess, if you want to put that in her stance. She's a stance character, right? So, for lack of a more elegant term, Dural's always been the Shang Tsung of Virtua Fighter, in that she has a lot of the other characters' moves. She has a few things that are unique to her, but between her 2 stances, which are Rapid and Massive. Rapid is more kind of based off like the faster characters in the game. Massive is more, well, based off the larger characters in the game with the bigger power moves. Now, that said, one of the unique aspects of the character is she can do things that are just a little bit different. I'm never going to accuse Virtua Fighter being like a realistic fighting game, like truly realistic. Maybe more than like Soul Calibur or Tekken, right? But she can do stuff like the Shin Shoryuken, right? Like, that's not Virtua Fighter. So she can do things that are just a little bit different than how everyone else does, well, how they do everything else. Like, they're all being just a blend of other characters' moves. She can put them all together in fun and interesting ways, right? And from there, like, you can just make all sorts of combos. Like, she can hurt you really good, right? Between the two stances, she can do some really fun stuff. And she can play a very interesting kind of game. Lore fun note, this version of Dural is actually based off of Vanessa. That's why she has two stances, because Vanessa has two stances. In Virtua Fighter 4, the Dural was based off of Sarah, so she had more like Sarah kind of moves. But yeah, Dural can just be a little silly. Like, if you're looking for someone who can just really do a different, not Virtua Fighter kind of stuff, she is the one. One thing to note about Dural, actually, and I find this a little bit of a negative, but she is not part of the base World Stage experience. So if you buy World Stage, you will have to buy her separately. She's all new. I guess the logic is she's DLC. I don't know. Once again, if you already had on PC, World Stage is a free upgrade. But otherwise, yeah, you do have to buy her separately. So that is a thing. Keep that in mind. Now, the other major part, besides, hey, there's a new character, I guess it's really the most major part because it's in the name, is the new World Stage mode. This is sort of multi-layered as it's a big single player mode, but it's also tied to a lot of the old customization options returning to Virtua Fighter 5, including the costume ease for the characters, the 5th costumes. Those have not been in Virtua Fighter 5 in, well, quite some time. So on its face, you have a bunch of stages, right? The world stage, as you would. And you pick your character, and you can switch characters whenever you want. You're not locked to any one character. And you fight on the world stage. And you fight a wide variety of characters. Very much made to represent the older Virtua Fighter 4 quest mode, which was quite famous in its day. So the various stages of World Stage have basically a bunch of handcrafted AI opponents. And yes, the very early stages are very easy to beat. Like, you can just mash buttons and it'll work for the most part. It's not till you fight starting like the Dan enemies of ranking that you even have to like hit the block button, to be honest with you. But you know what? The early stages shouldn't be that difficult, right? You don't want to scare people off. And each stage you progress, the enemies get harder and harder, and you got to, use more and more of your skills to succeed, as you should. And eventually you'll go through to the final stage and fight the best of the best of the best. And while you're winning, and this is a major part of this, while you're winning, you're also doing various challenges. And through these challenges, you unlock cosmetic items. So I mentioned that the costume E's have returned to the game after a very long hiatus. And there's just a lot of cosmetic parts. And you unlock the majority of the cosmetic parts in this mode. And through doing a variety of the challenges, some could be just like, hey, rank up, right? Do a variety of the challenges and you'll unlock particular items for particular characters. Some could be tied to, I guess, what you would call character mastery, like keep playing a specific character, win matches, do specific mechanical challenges, like, specific gameplay tech. If anything, this mode is excellent at the one part of the video game sickness that we all love and hate, right? See numbers go up and unlock cool stuff to customize your character. And the more you win, the more challenges you unlock, right? The more your numbers go up and the more custom items you get to, well, make your character look cool. So a few things to note now that's said here. One, I mentioned especially like the earlier stuff. The computer's pretty easy to beat early on, like even if you have a mild understanding of fighting games. That'll get better the more you progress. But if it's really too easy for you early on, there is a difficulty setting. Defaults to normal, you can put it to hard. Although if you really know your fighting games, it's still probably going to be really easy for a while till you get past the first few levels. And the other thing, and I like unlocking stuff, that's cool, but I do perceive this as maybe a little bit of a negative. Like, you'll have to unlock costume C and D now. Before they were just unlocked. Now you have to unlock them to use them. And all the various items, they don't show up if they're not unlocked. So you don't know what you don't have. Like before, just everything was unlocked, right? And I'm not opposed to unlocking them, but to me, I feel like if you don't have an item unlocked, it should still show up on the list, just be grayed out. And as it's grayed out, you can highlight it and it'll tell you like whatever the unlock condition may be. Because otherwise, even though they added so much more customization in this version of the game, it starts off really bare bones. And since you don't see what you don't have unlocked already, right, you don't even know what you're missing. Which I'm glad they brought back stuff from older versions of EF5, but I feel like it could have been done a little better. But still, I think it's a very solid addition to the game. Maybe not as well done as it could be if this was like a full brand new game. This is definitely stapling on a side gameplay mode onto, well, what's frankly an ancient game. But it's interesting for what it is, and it'll help alleviate those fears of, a newer player going online, because that's terrifying, right? These AIs are tailored to fight like people, especially the later versions. And for newer players, it'll absolutely help you get a base level understanding of the gameplay and the game flow, and just sort of how, well, everything works. Now, another thing note, and this really only affects the PlayStation people upgrading from Ultimate Showdown. So here's base Ultimate Showdown, and this is upscaled to 4K from the base resolution of the game. And this is the PlayStation 5 version of World Stage, so everything is just native resolution now. So just everything looks smoother, cleaner, aliasing is a lot better. If you already played REVO on PC, you already know, like, it looks pretty good, right? And just for a blast from the past, here's what Final Showdown on 360 looked like. You think it looks great back in the day, and there's some artistic stuff about it as well. I think it's still good, but definitely time has progressed and, graphics have gone up, and it looked a lot muddier in motion than I remembered it, to be honest. Yay, graphics. Now, for some other stuff here. So one of the other things that World Stage specifically has revamped is there's a new training mode stuff. So what's already there is still there, like command exercises, classic training mode is all there. But we have some specific information now that wasn't in other versions of Virtua Fighter 5. Very much to the game's benefit, in my opinion. Things that have been added are battle tips and character-specific details. So battle tips is basically just kind of giving you a little bit of Virtua Fighter 101, right? Just kind of giving you the ins and outs of the game. And it's a little bit of a primer. It's not trying to overwhelm you, because Virtua Fighter could easily overwhelm you. Like even one of the sections that show you how to like evade crouch dash, and they're like, you know what, don't worry about this. Like, come back to that later. And basically a lot of these various segments are going through both, just general fighting game 101 and then applied to a Virtua Fighter context. Hey, what's a 50-50? What's a mix-up? How does that work specifically in a Virtua Fighter context? Then it'll also dig into, character-specific stuff. I do like Vanessa that had to break her down into her two stances. They said bio. I actually, for a second, was like freaking out, like, oh my god, are they adding the lore back in the game? No. Like, bio means like literally an overview of the character. And this, by the way, is not her default outfit, and that weirded me out to see that. But basically just giving you kind of a quick ins and out of the character. Like, here are a variety of useful attacks for your character, mids and lows and all that. These are throws you should favor in certain situations. These are like launchers or just general combo structure you should favor in certain situations. And they generally pick the good stuff, like the stuff you actually want to aim for. Like real world practical in-match combos that you will actually want to use. So that's good. Another really strong add is if you just go into like regular training mode, go to the move list, right? It'll give you a bunch of practical combos, and it'll give you a bunch of practical combos against Taka Arashi. Taka literally plays by a different rule set than every other character in the game, and your normal stuff doesn't work on him the same way it works on everyone else. So if you're new to the game, it can be very frustrating to understand what's even happening against this guy. So a bunch of like actual combos you want to use against him, at least help you understand what's even happening. That I like a lot. Taka is a pain point for a lot of new characters. Hopefully, even though I like sumo guys, I hope it doesn't work maybe the same way it does in Virtua Fighter 6, right? Because he's just literally playing a completely different game than every other character in the game. And besides that, just a couple other notes. So Netcode, nothing's changed as far as I can tell on the Netcode front. I've not been told there's been anything changed either. So as far as the base REVO Netcode goes, it's pretty good. Like, I won't say it's best in class compared to, like, say, Street Fighter 6 or something, but it's a very workable online. It is rollback netcode, certainly better than, delay that's been the norm for such a long time. You can definitely just hop in, play, and just have a good time with it. If you're playing against someone with, like, awful Wi-Fi, it's not going to save you from. But then again, very little would, regardless of the game and regardless of the netcode. It was solid enough in REVO overall and remains solid enough with the benefit of now being on PlayStation and Xbox, so the potential player base with crossplay enabled is getting a lot bigger. And with this being live and finally on all systems, and yes, it'll be on Switch 2 sometime in the future. I don't think they've given a date on that, but sometime in the future it'll be on Switch 2. One of the main reasons to get this game is, frankly, admittedly, in anticipation of the new Virtua Fighter game. For the new game, there's a lot we don't know, but there's also a good deal we do know. Things will be different to a degree, but the core DNA of Virtua Fighter is absolutely remaining intact, regardless of perhaps a few new mechanics, right? So if you want to get an idea of what's going on in the new Virtua Fighter, especially as we get closer to it, and hopefully soon we learn more, hopefully. But if you just want to see how this whole crazy VF thing works, then World Stage is literally now the best thing on the market for you to try out. It's a budget price. It is not a full price game. Retails for $20 American on Steam and console. And once again, if you had the PlayStation 4 version Ultimate Showdown, you can upgrade at a pretty significant discount. So if you want to see what this whole crazy new Virtua Fighter thing is, World Stage is your best stop. As mentioned at the top of the video, no point in this review am I here to sell you on the concept of VF5, because VF5 sells itself. It's simply one of the best fighting games ever made, full stop. 5 out of 5 stars review, like whatever you want to say. Like, it's one of the best games ever made. So like, it's great that way, right? And as far as the most current repackaging in World Stage, the new features are good. The tutorialization stuff is very useful for newcomers. World Stage, I think, is very useful for newcomers because, once again, it's terrifying to go online against other humans, especially if you only sort of know what you're doing. So this will help you out a lot, especially because the AIs will fight more and more and more like human beings and use tactics human beings would use the further you get into the towers and the stages, as it were. So we got that. We have classic costume ease returning and, just more customization. I don't love how it's gated specifically at very minimum. You should be able to see all the options out of the gate, even if you don't have them unlocked. So at least you know what you're missing versus you have to unlock them to see what it even is to begin with in World Stage. That admittedly could have been done a bit better in my opinion. And Dural. Dural, again, I think it's been unfortunate you have to buy her separately. Not my choice if I were to make it, but it's an all-new character in a game that hasn't had a new character in a very, very long time. And it's the boss of the franchise, right? She's been around since the very early 90s, and she offers a completely, wildly different gameplay experience with the fact that she's a bit of a mimic character, has moves across the cast, and including a bunch of superhuman moves that other characters just cannot do. So she is gated behind DLC, yes, but she is, at least in my opinion, and I'm a fighting game shill, so whatever my opinion is worth to you, right? But I think it's worth it just for the experience at the least. But to close out at a minimum, right? It's a budget price game with one of the best fighting games ever made with even more stuff, rollback netcode, crossplay on all systems. It's pretty much a banger in my books. So if you want to take in VF5 for what it is, it's the best version of the game ever. And if you're excited for the new Virtua Fighter coming up, well, this is a pretty good place to learn some VF. So that's the review in a nutshell, and I got to give it my highest possible rating, which is a really big thumbs up. Don't get much better than that, folks. That all said, that is it for me, that is it for the review, and that's it for the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Virtua Fighter.
Oh, yeah.